Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking the map of India and completely unfolding it. And I don't just mean looking at a flat piece of paper, you know. We're looking at a massive, dynamic stage where extreme geography really comes to life. We're going to dive right into the stunning contrasts and exact borders that give this subcontinent its absolute unique character. Let's get into it.
So, how well do you really know the map of India? We glance at maps all the time, right? On our phones, on the news, but we rarely stop to actually appreciate the sheer scale of the place. We're going to embark on this geographical expedition across one of the most diverse countries on Earth and use some really precise data to completely change how you view its map. All right, Chapter 1. Sizes and Shapes. Just think about this wild contrast for a second. On one hand, we've got the largest state by area, Rajasthan. It's literally this vast land of sweeping deserts and immense horizons. Now put that right next to the smallest state by area, which is Goa. Goa is defined by this highly condensed, sun-soaked tropical footprint. It's pretty amazing that you can travel from boundless arid plains to a tiny lush enclave, all within the exact same national borders.
And you know, we see this exact same dramatic extreme when we look at the Union territories. We jump straight from the massive, high-altitude expanse of Ladakh, which is the largest Union territory, right down to the incredibly small island clusters of Lakshadweep, the absolute smallest. We're literally talking about going from majestic, freezing peaks in the far north to tiny coral atolls sitting in the Arabian Sea.
Oh, and just to put a number on it, the Indian map features exactly 8 of these uniquely governed Union territories. They're totally distinct from the states, which adds this really fascinating administrative layer to the country's whole geography puzzle.
Now, here's a stat that always blows my mind. When we picture India, we usually think of its famous beaches and coastal cities, right? But an incredible 20 of its states are entirely landlocked. That means 20 states tucked away inland, surrounded completely by earth and neighboring regions, without a single drop of ocean shoreline. So a huge chunk of the country's interior is defined entirely by rivers, plains, and mountains, totally isolated from the sea.
Moving right along to Chapter 2, where water meets land.
Now, for the states that do hit the water, our coastal journey takes us down and around the peninsula. There are exactly 9 coastal states: Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and West Bengal. They essentially form this giant smile across the bottom of the subcontinent, hugging the Arabian Sea, the Indian Ocean, and the Bay of Bengal.
To put that into perspective, if you took a pen and traced that entire watery edge, you'd draw a continuous line measuring a staggering 7,516.6 kilometers. That is a massive order of water, and it completely dictates the climate, trade routes, and literally the daily lives of millions of people.
And of course, you can't have a coastline that massive without some serious maritime infrastructure. All along that stretch, there are 12 major ports acting as these bustling doorways for global shipping. They're basically the vital hubs connecting India to the entire global economy.
But hey, water sculpts the interior too. Take a look at the coastal state of Karnataka. Right here, the roaring waters of Jog Falls plunge downwards, holding the title as the highest waterfall in the entire nation. It is an absolutely breathtaking reminder of the sheer power of India's inland water systems.
Okay, Chapter 3, Crossing the Lines.
Let's zoom out and look at the borders. India shares its land boundaries with 7 distinct neighboring countries: Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. These 7 international boundaries aren't just lines on a map. They represent centuries of shared history and some incredibly complex geopolitical intersections.
Now I want you to imagine drawing an invisible vertical line straight down the map. This is the 82 degrees 30 minutes east standard meridian. And why does this actually matter? Because this one specific line sets the clock for the entire country. As it slices directly through 5 states, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh, it synchronizes time for over 1 billion people. I just find it fascinating how a single geographical coordinate dictates the daily schedule of an entire subcontinent.
Okay, let's draw another invisible line, but this time horizontally across the middle of the country. This is the Tropic of Cancer. This major global latitude line neatly intersects exactly 8 Indian states. It basically acts as this crucial divider that shapes the climate into distinct subtropical and tropical zones.
Which brings us to our final section, Chapter 4, The Extreme Edges.
You might want to bundle up for this one.
because we're heading straight to the freezing, windswept heights of Dras, up in the vast Union territory of Ladakh. Dras officially holds the intense title of being the coldest place in the country. It is a harsh, stunningly beautiful environment that stands in total stark contrast to that tropical heat we see further south.
And while we're up in these crazy northern altitudes, look all the way up to the Karakoram Range. Right there, the legendary K2, also known as Godwin Austen, literally pierces the sky. It stands proudly as the absolute highest peak in this magnificent mountain chain. It's basically a towering monument at the very roof of the subcontinent.
Finally, our expedition brings us all the way down from the peaks to a very specific point on the map, Badra, in the state of Punjab. Why here? Well, this location is famously documented as the absolute last village on the Indian border. It is literally the end of the line before India's geography transitions entirely into another land.
So, we've covered massive deserts, tiny coral islands, the exact states that dictate a billion people's time, and the extreme edges of cold and altitude. With all these incredible geographical facts mapped out in our explainer today, I want to leave you with a question. From the freezing peaks of Dras to the warm shores of Lakshadweep, which chapter of this majestic country's story are you inspired to discover first?